G'day Reefers, I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Welcome to Gallery Aquatica TV. Today we're going to be looking at a beautiful Red Sea Max 500. There are some of the nicest tanks you'll ever see in this tank. There's some really nice coral. We're going to have a look at the tank and then we're going to show you how we do maintenance on a beautiful tank like this. So this tank is a Red Sea Max 500. It's an all-in-one tank that comes with the lights, the pumps, the filtration. And you can see that it has this really cool light mount that holds 3 Hydra 26s. Underneath we've got a Deltec skimmer. There's also a chiller and a UV sterilizer and a Kamoa X4 running on this system. It's a really nice setup and it's really well designed. Let's have a look at the fish and the corals in this tank. So the corals are predominantly soft corals and LPS. There is a red scrolling Monty which is doing really well, but certainly the soft corals towards the back are what really sort of stand out and give the tank some volume. But it's the fish in this tank which are really the stars. And there are some absolutely beautiful tangs. There's a beautiful purple tang, there's a blue tang, and the absolute star of the show is this Achilles tang. And you can see all the fish are very well conditioned, they're very well fed, but they're also very happy in this tank. And even with me standing over the tank, they're swimming out and about. They look really good. There's also a number of rabbit fish, there's some chromas, some anthias, so some dither fish as well, and together they create a beautiful fish dynamic. We're going to do a water change on this tank, so we'll take you through the process of how we do exactly that. We're in the garage directly behind the aquarium and you can see that we've got the chiller and the UV sterilizer here right next to this really impressive shoe rack. So we're going to start today by turning off the equipment to ensure that we don't have any problems when we're doing the water change. So that's the UV sterilizer and the chiller turned off. Let's go back to the tank and we'll turn off the other pieces of equipment. So we're down underneath the tank looking at the sump and I'm just making sure that everything's turned off. I'm going to make sure that the skimmer is turned off as well as the return pump and the supplementary water flow, the jets that are in the back wall of this tank. So I'm just turning them off here at the power control center. And now we can start with the Gravel-vac and a water change. I'm going to start with the Gravel-vac. Now the easiest way to start a Gravel-vac, I find, is by placing it under the water, lifting it up so that it's facing the ceiling and just dropping it down as the water level in the actual gravel siphon drops. And if you do it properly, it'll actually start the siphon very easily. Otherwise, you can suck on it and aim it into the bucket. So when we Gravel-vac, the idea is that we're basically trying to remove the bacterial silt and detritus out of the substrate. And so by starting and stopping the Gravel-vac, you'll find that you will have the sand going back into the tank, nice and clean, and all the dirt out of the substrate will end up in the bucket. So I'm just going to reposition and really try and get amongst the rockwork here. The one thing you have to remember is try not to step on your Gravel-vac. That is stuffed. So we've unfortunately broken our Gravel-vac and the client is gracious enough to lend us their Gravel-vac. There's a bit of a kink in it and for me I actually think it's going to be a bit difficult to use in this depth of tank. I have another idea and this could very well be the greatest aquarium hack you will ever see. So I have to admit, this is not the first time that I've stepped on a Gravel-vac, and I've actually got a way that I can convert this drink bottle into a Gravel-vac. One that will work probably just as effectively as the one I just broke. So let me show you how I do it. First of all, we finish our drink. Okay. Second of all advertising paraphernalia must go. The next thing we do is we cut the bottom off. So I've got my Leatherman here. It's the perfect thing. Be very careful we don't cut ourselves. And trying to keep it nice and straight. It's not the best one I've done, but luckily I've got a pair of scissors, I can correct it. Okay, this is better. So now we have a very straight base, which makes it easier to use. We then take the lid of the bottle, we take off the cap, we don't need that. Now this is the type that has got this easy drinking nozzle. And what I'm going to do is with the Leatherman, I'm actually going to take that part off. So just like this. Like so. We don't use that at all. And this is actually the perfect size to fit over our 12-16mm hose, like so. And that is our Gravel-vac. So let's see how well it works. I'm going to try starting it in the same way as the last Gravel-vac by just pulling it under the water, letting it fill with water, and then letting it drain into the bucket. It's a little bit slower than the first one. And I'm going to do it a couple of times just so that it's rinsed all the drink through it. Okay, there we go. And now I should be able to use it in exactly the same way as the one I stepped on. Now, the problem with this sort of Gravel-vac is that it is a little bit larger than the commercial one that we were using, and it's a little bit softer. It's also more slow with water to flow through the top, and in some situations all these things are a disadvantage, but in this case it's actually the perfect Gravel-vac. And you can see the dirt and bacterial silt and detritus coming up through the Gravel-vac and going into the bucket. Probably the best hack I've ever seen for an aquarium. We've finished our Gravel-vac, and now it's time for the water change. I'll just get my siphon hose started. And we're going to drain out about half the water today. So that's our service done on this beautiful tank. As you can see, most of the fish are hiding, but the Achilles tang is still out and about. In fact, he hardly hid through the whole process. And it's really nice to see tame fish which aren't freaked out when you're in the tank. So that's it for today's episode of Gallery Aquatica TV. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy backing. That's our video for today. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button and make sure you've subscribed to our channel so you don't miss an episode of Gallery Aquatica TV. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Cam the Fish Guy. Happy reefing!